Hi everybody, in today's video I'm going to explain a few different ways to beat. So you can think about this as either how to multiply your beat options or just how to be better at beating someone's blade. Okay, so right now the opponent simulation blade is pointed a little bit up. A lot of people like to fence with their tip kind of high like this. So when they're hitting, it's kind of like dragging the point forward. So this is actually going to make it pretty easy for you to beat their blade. Okay, now assuming that my blade is pointed forward, first, we're going to start with, in my opinion, the more difficult way, which is I'm just going to hold it with 2 fingers, just to really show what's actually moving. So you see, I'm making contact with the blade just kind of by pushing my fingers to move the tip sideways. So if I wasn't holding anything, this is really the motion we're going for, okay? I like to think about it as the same feeling as when you press hard with a pencil to make the line darker. So it's going to be really quick beat. Okay, I'm using my fingers to move the tip. Now, the reason this one is a little bit more difficult, because you might have fingers strong enough to just beat really easily, but you want to beat, and then you actually need to aim backwards towards the target before you extend. If you just kind of throw your hand forward without aiming, this will happen. So you'll probably hit the person in the arm or completely miss. So you actually need to make sure the tip goes immediately forward. Okay, you'll notice my hand is not going in the same line as my shoulder like this. It's actually reaching kind of out here, like a little bit to the right, because if I were to just keep my arm reaching forward, it's naturally going to want to go out here. So you just need to use your fingers to kind of aim at the target as this is happening. So as we just discussed, the first type of beat is with the fingers. This is really good for, let's say, beat, attack, and prep. Okay? The second type of beat is just a rotation of the wrist. This is kind of the more intuitive one for most fencers. So you'll even see a lot of beginners try and hit the other person's blade like that. Now this one is a little bit easier because it requires less aim. So as long as I keep this kind of angle at the bottom of my wrist, I can rotate to connect with the blade, and then I can rotate back, and you'll see I'm already pointed at the target. Yes, I'm using a little bit of fingers just to control the tip, but it's actually mostly just keeping my wrist in this position as I rotate, because as you can see, if that happens, the tip pretty much stays on target. So now if I add my elbow, you get what a lot of high-level fencers do when they're searching for the blade, here and then here. Okay, the mistake is going to be this. If I bend at the top of my wrist, you see if my hand goes forward, my tip goes way up here. So that's why you see a lot of beginners hit the blade and then their hand goes down, because they're like, okay, if I'm pointed up, I still want to hit the target, so now the arm has to extend downwards, which is a little bit less efficient. Now at the highest level, you can actually sort of combine these two, right? You could use the fingers as you rotate the hand to go even faster. So you could either beat touch, or you could even kind of leave the blade going to the other side. So now we get into this kind of fun idea of, well, what are the different things I can do with a beat? And well, if the opponent is pointed at you, okay, that's a good time to hit their blade. If they're pointed away from you, you don't really need to look for it. Now, you might realize that this one is a little bit more efficient, right? If I'm actually trying to hit the blade, right, I just touch and it immediately comes back. Whereas this one, if I miss, the tip kind of keeps going. And as I'm winding it up, there might be a little telegraph like, oh, I'm pointing this way, and then I go here, right? It's pretty tricky to just go to the left. And if I only were to go to the left here, like I'm doing 4, it kind of leaves a pretty wide area on this side of my blade exposed. So if I go out here, it's going to cover everything. Now, this covers more at the cost of being a little bit of telegraphing. So I'm kind of like showing the opponent, hey, I'm about to search for your blade. So if you do it quick, great, they can't do anything about it. But if they're quick, they'll be able to disengage. Now, a smart person is going to realize that can be a good thing. You can use this as an invitation for them to disengage, and then you do another parry. Let's say circle 4, you could go to 6, you could go to 7, you could pretty much do anything.